What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another one. When you come in, let me know you hear me loud and clear. What's up, fight fans? Good. All right. Let me get situated, and we're gonna get right into this episode. We have a lot to talk about. I want to talk about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. You know, each of them seem to have a fight at 154. And it seems like Errol Spence Jr. Is trying to play spoiler. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the results with Esau Pitbull Cruz and Rolly, and he became a world champion. We're gonna dive into some of the biggest stories in boxing. So before we get into all of that, please smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, and like always, let's get right into this video. Well, a great night in boxing. A great night in boxing. A lot was said after this Tszyu fight with Sebastian Fundora. Um, I like the fight itself. Look, there was a massive for all of you that saw the fight and know what happened in the fight too. And if you did, I'm gonna break it down, right? Um, there was a cut. Um, that occurred in the second round by an elbow, a freak elbow. Okay. Sebastian Fundora is 6'6". He's really tall. And I think Tim Zoo's corner coming into this fight didn't really see a clash of heads. And they didn't see that Sebastian possessed that kind of power where that he might cut, you know, um, Tim Zoo, right? But he got cut, needless to say. And while I was watching the fight, right, I did think of this, but I didn't say it because in actuality, I didn't want the fight to stop. But Tim Zhu, he could have stopped right there and went to the scorecard and not let the fight pass the third round. Had he not let the fight pass the third round, he could have just said a DQ, and went to the scorecards. He could have had a DQ everything. He would have probably remained the champion. Um, I believe he won the first round and he was winning the second round. Oh, yeah. And so if he went to the scorecards, um, Tim Tszyu would probably be champion right now. But his warrior mentality and his championship mindset wasn't going to let him, like, just walk away from this like that. He didn't want this like that. As you can see after the fight, Tim Tszyu is gracious in victory and gracious in defeat. He showed real class. He didn't make any excuses of why he lost the fight, in the ring. Outside the press, and he got time to think about a lot of things that were occurring inside of the ring. He told you how he felt, but he didn't make any excuses. That he didn't do. Okay. Now, a lot of people might say that Tim Tszyu and his corner should have noticed that, right? And, elected to opt out of the fight, right? So that he could still remain champion. That's not what the problem was here. What I saw and what I was saying yesterday on my live stream was the inexperience and the fact that they weren't prepared and they didn't have the formula for the cut to stop the bleeding. Had his corner been better prepared to stop that bleeding, they would have helped Tim Tszyu. They would have helped him better. He would listen in some rounds before he even got out the corner, the blood was already pouring in his eye. The man, it was obvious. I have two eyes. I was watching the man wipe his face and get punched and try to block a punch. At the same time, he was trying to wipe his eye, block a punch, hit a punch, and then throw a punch. And you could see that he had no problem finding the target in the beginning part of when before he sustained the cut. Um, Tim Tszyu was calculated. and he was throwing his punches up at like an angle like this. And it was a little difficult for him. And I can imagine for him trying to find Spartan partners in 12 days' notice to try to emulate a style of an opponent that tall. That wasn't going to be an easy, you know, you would have to figure some of this stuff out. So he had no problem hitting him. But as soon as that blood started pouring his eye, you saw Tszyu missing big. Now, I also understand that some of that had to do with a little bit of desperation. He must have knew one way or another, once I let this fight pass the third round, and if I'm not beating him, they could stop the fight because of the cut. Now it could be in his favor. I think he took some big chances, Tszyu, in the fight, and he got stunned. I think Sebastian Fedora hits harder than what it seems. Look, he doesn't look like he has a lot of pop on his shots. He's like, boom, 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 boom. But I'm telling you right now, he's putting all six of that right there. Bing, bing, bing. And there was a few times where he caught Tszyu pretty good. And he and I saw it one time, he staggered him. And everybody in the announcers, they didn't say anything about that. But I saw it with my own eyes. Sebastian hit him in one of the rounds. I forgot what round it was. I mean, the action was just, and the blood was just pouring, okay, from both men. Sebastian was coming out of one corner. He was spitting up blood on the floor before he was coming out. And that blood was coming out dark red. That's when you know you got a deep cut. It wasn't no like regular red blood. It was dark as hell. Sebastian inside of his mouth, he was bleeding. He was swallowing blood in between rounds, probably. Because he wasn't spitting the blood out in the ring. Where was the blood going? Down his throat. So, I mean, as soon as he spit out that blood from the corner, that cut didn't stop bleeding. No, he was swallowing blood in between rounds. So, and then Tszyu's blood was just pouring. And with every shot, the blood would just spat right off his face. And, you know, Tszyu really was, he was boxing well. He was boxing well. He had Sebastian in a few of those rounds and some trouble. Sebastian was winning some of these rounds. He was winning like the better part of the round or something, and then Tim would catch him with a good shot, but then Sebastian would answer right back. And I was like, damn, Tim got him with a good shot. But Sebastian would answer with a two-piece or, multiple shots too. So Tszyu was waiting for his openings. He had to. With this puzzle that he had in front of him, he didn't want to get too desperate because he knew that the guy in front of him, Sebastian, can crack. He only lost to one person, in which ironically, Brian Mendoza was supposed to fight on that card. I didn't see the fight, right? I'm not even sure if he fought. I need to go check that out. What happened with that situation? Because now that Sebastian won, hold up, wait a minute. Brian Mendoza knocked out Sebastian. Brian Mendoza went on to fight Tszyu and lost. Sebastian fought Tszyu and won the titles. So it just goes to show you that truly styles make fights. Brandon Mendoza knocked out Sebastian Fundora. He knocked him out, bro. He felt like a tree timber out. And Tszyu whooped Brandon Mendoza's ass. And I'm talking about, I remember in the round, the announcers went over and looked at Brandon Mendoza's corner, and he was in the corner with a hand on the ropes like this, and he was just bubbled like this. They was wiping his face. He was messed up. Remember, the referee took a look at him in the corner, right? The ring doctor came up and they took a look at him, and Brandon, he was rocked. And the camera went and looked at Tszyu, and he looked fresh as a daisy. He looked like wasn't even in a fight. He was good. So he was really outclassing Brandon Mendoza. So it goes to show you that if you come and you fight Tim Tszyu, even if you don't bring anything to the equation, more than likely he's a good fighter. He might figure you out. He took, oh man, Tony, he destroyed him. But Sebastian Fundora brought something to the table. And for the first time in his career, I had to admit, yo, he stood disciplined and he fought long and tall in this fight. He didn't go in on the inside and try to mix it up with Tim Tszyu. Um, a lot of us thought that would be a mistake, and I said to myself, I said, that's gonna be a mistake. And he didn't go inside all night. He stayed disciplined. He stayed focused to the plan. And congratulations, young man, for becoming a world champion. In fact, his sister is a world champion right now, and they are currently the first brother and sister that hold simultaneously two world titles as brother and sister in boxing. This is the first time that's ever happened. There's probably been a brother and sister that, at separate times held world titles. Yeah, that's happened, but not simultaneously. Where his sister is the current women's female champion today, and her brother just became a two-time division world champion. Uh, 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 what is the fucking word? Um, unified world champion. Jesus, that almost, I was like, what the hell is it? Anyway, it happens to the best of us, right? So, yeah, that's a big accomplishment. That's great. Then the drama. What happened after the fight? Who entered the ring and who is at the fight? Kudos for Errol Spence Jr. for typing. He had already let the world know on social media that he was on his flight, on his way to that fight, and that he was going to challenge the winner of the fight. Where was Terence Crawford at? Terence Crawford thought Tim Tszyu was going to win that fight, just like everybody else did. That's what happened. Terence Crawford didn't show up to the fight. He didn't feel that he had to. He had this he got this fight in the bag, right? Because Tim Tszyu's going to be the WBO champion, right? Well, what happened when Sebastian Fundora played spoiler and he upset at the cart? Once the minute he beat Tim Tszyu, exactly what I said on my other live stream, the WBO standards as a champion reset. That's not Sebastian Fundora's obligations, what Tim Tszyu had going on with their belt. This is a new world champion right here. He does not have to fight Terence Crawford immediately. I believe he'll still have an option to pick a mandatory or a fight. And then the WBO is going to want him to fight the number one contender. And if if he has doesn't meet those, he could still fight Terence Crawford probably. But more than likely, Sebastian Fundora might be able to pick his next fight with the WBO. Yeah, he doesn't acquire Tim Tszyu's fucking previous arrangements. No, or his obligations to the sanctioning body. It doesn't fall on Sebastian Fundora. What's up, Lionheart? How you doing, baby? What's up? All right, how you doing? Crawford versus Fundora would be an awesome fight. It would be an amazing fight. But you got to understand that Terence Crawford is one of the most avoidable fighters in all of boxing today, and it's for a reason. They'd rather fight Errol Spence Jr. than fight Terence Crawford. You heard Tim Tszyu's manager. You heard him. And then Errol Spence Jr. jumps in the ring with Sebastian Fundora, and they give each other dap, and he's like, yo, I'll fight you. And Sebastian said, yup, I'll fight you too. And that the fact that there was no rematch clause in the fight. So Sebastian does not have to give Tim Tszyu a rematch, which I think it would be merit, and I would love to see that fight. We're talking about We would love to see Sebastian against Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., but I kind of would like to see Sebastian running back with Tszyu, and I believe that Tszyu deserves it. I believe that, yeah, that cut did hinder the fight. That fight changed the outcome of the fight or the. You listen, Sebastian Fundora could have won the fight without the cut. I'm not saying he couldn't have. Okay, but what I'm saying is, I definitely believe that that cut played a factor in Tim Tszyu's fight. Yes. Yes, it did. And it put him in a position where that he had to take more risk in the fight. You know, and then here he is taking risks and taking unnecessary shots and damage he normally probably wouldn't have taken in that fight. You got to think about these things. I think his whole fight strategy would have been his fight approach to the fight, Tim Tszyu, would have been different had he not, take this massive. Hey, listen, guys, that was a hole. I went back and I looked at that. Listen, that hole was like this on the top of his head. Y'all saw it if you got to see it, because I know there were a lot in which they were, it was viewed, but there was one round when he first sat down. I paused it right there. Bro, that hole was like this in his head. Yeah, it was. It was just filling up with blood, so you might have not seen how big it was. But the minute he got that cut, if you want to go check that out, you could pause it right there. Zoom in on that shit. That shit was like that, bro. That dude had all three Q-tips, and I pointed it out in his head. Them shits was in his head, bro. They didn't have nothing to stop that blood, bro. And that was a damn shame. Listen, not one of them men had hustle in their blood. Bro, I swear to you on everything I love, I would have found me a bottle of that. There was there was like 12 fights that night. There were multiple different corners, right? And coaches and everything. Me, the chief second, I would have stood in the corner with Tim Tszyu and I would have sent one of them dudes off. You don't need all three of them dudes in the corner with you at this point. Send one to go get you one of them bottles, bro. Have him go ask. They just stood in the corner like this. They ain't never been in a situation like that. Like, man, you listen, I've had to borrow in swells. Yo, can I use that? When you coming up, you ain't got all this equipment and everything. You fighting in these raunchy ass places. Shit like this happens, and you gotta ask people for shit. And it'll happen. But it might save your fighter. It might save him. Had you stopped that blood, bro, I'm trying to tell you, you would have gave him a better shot because Tim Tszyu wasn't backing down. You see how tough he was. That's championship shit right there, though. I gotta admit, that's championship shit because that had to go through his mind. He's a professional boxer. He knows the rules in boxing. He got cut in the second round. He knew he could have went to the scorecard cards, Tim Tszyu, but he said no. I don't want to win like this. I want to win. But and then when he was in the later rounds and that shit started flooding, now he probably started thinking about his decision. He didn't think that he had never suffered a cut like that or dealt with a situation like that. Every man's gonna think, oh, it's just a little blood. No, when that shit starts pouring, you legitimately, yo, it starts to smell like penny, like copper. The blood, and yo, it blinds your vision. It starts to sting a little, and then when you lift your eyelid, it's like sticky. It's like, and yo, you can't see shit, bro. And then at a certain point, you fighting, and he banging you, your eye flashing. What if he hits you with a good shot in your other eye? Just knuckle right in your other eye. Boop! This one's bleeding, and he's getting damage in this one. He like this. Fighting in there. Yo, I was like, man, Tim Tszyu's corner, wake up. Y'all got to wake up. But they didn't. He lost his belts. Sebastian Fundora, congratulations, young man. It was backstage. It was an amazing moment backstage. I'm not sure if all y'all got to catch it. Man, I wish I had some video on this right here. But backstage, Sebastian Fundora and Tim Tszyu, they saw each other after the fight, and Sebastian had both belts. He had Tim Tszyu's belt, and he had the WBC, the green one on, right? And he had the WBC right here on his, both of them on his shoulders like this, or one, it was in his hand. He had the WBC right here and this one in his hand, and he took a picture with him, and he handed Tszyu back his belt. And Tszyu was thinking that he was just gonna like look at the belt one more time and like give it back or some shit. I don't know what Tszyu was thinking. And the girl said, Tszyu, he wants you to have the belt back. And that is an old tradition amongst champions, right? In the ring, the champion brings the belt to the fight. So you actually, it is very prestigious to wear the belt from the man you just beat. You don't want to put in a brand new one right there. No, not yet. Not that's not that for that moment. What you want to do is like Terence Crawford did to Errol Spence Jr. They did the same thing and they did show the same respect as champions. That's how it's done. So from the men that are coming up and the young champions, that pay attention because these are rituals and things we show of respect, right? Um, Sebastian Fundora gave him back the belt. Was like, nah, that's your belt. He knows he's gonna get one in the mail, and the WBO is gonna mail him a brand new belt for that night. He doesn't have to keep Tim Tszyu's belt. That's you know what I'm saying. It actually says Tim Tszyu's name on it. Give him back his belt. Terence Crawford did the same thing for Errol Spence Jr. You remember they had the one with the missing plate. Remember the IBF had one of them missing. And Terence Crawford won the belts. He took the pictures, and on stage he went to Errol Spence Jr. He gave him back the belts. Those are his belts. And he only brought the belts for the event, but that's a passage of champions. And what you want to do is beat the champion and put the belt that you beat from him. You want that belt to be put on your waist because you beat him. That's that's a championship moment. And then you get your belt, they put your name on it, and you go out and try to defend that belt. And every time you beat somebody, they put, you can have it, you sent that plate back, and they'll put the date and time or whatever, and you can make it yourself a pretty prestigious belt, like that. So yeah, so and then we had Rolly and Eastside Pitbull Cruz. Um, I gotta admit, Rolly did look better. He did look better. He looked a little too cautious. A little too cautious. I felt like he was just allowing Eastside Pitbull Cruz to like just bang on him and shit. And Rolly was trying to for one of the first times be more defensively sound and not exchange. I think he might have been better off exchanging because Eastside Pitbull Cruz he looked on that night to be the harder puncher. And he was just moving Rolly every time he punched him. And Rolly was just like, look, I think it was a good stoppage. Congratulations to Eastside Pitbull Cruz. Eastside Pitbull Cruz now looks serious about staying in the 140. I jokingly joked about that and said that, you know, uh, I don't see him fighting Subriel Matias or Teofimo Lopez or Devin Haney. And I had made a video about it. And I said, this dude might lose his mind and start calling everybody out. I thought he would win the belt, relish the moment, become a champion, and then use that as leverage to go down to 135 and start fighting guys at 135. I thought that's what he was going to do. Isaac Pitbull Cruz has no intentions at going down now, which also brings an interesting point, right? And I want to end my line with this, and then I'm going to go and answer some of your questions. I'm going to go on and read some of the things you guys got to say, and I just want to say this right here, okay? Eastside Pitbull Cruz is 5'4". 5'4", guys. He's fighting at 140 pounds, and he is now currently the WBC 140-pound champion of the world. 5'4". He's 5'5". Think about it. Let's just think about this. Naoya Inoue is 5'5", moving up the ranks. Everybody says that everybody's gonna be too big for him at 130. Everybody was gonna be too big for him at 122. Everybody's gonna be too big for him at 126. Isaac Pitbull Cruz is 5'4". He's a 140-pound champion right now. Do you think this guy has more skill than Isaac Pitbull Cruz? And do you think that his skill can, you know, make up for the weight? If Esau Pitbull Cruz can be the 140-pound champion of the world right now at 5'4", I'm starting to see the light with my man right here, bro. Yo, let's talk about it. Let me read some of y'all texts and messages here. Yo, why the fuck is my shit frozen on the screen? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I paused that. My bad. Okay. I gotta read some of y'all messages. Let me catch up with y'all. Got to catch up with y'all. Who said they were gonna start who negotiating with Crawford? Okay, this was the good. Check this out, right? Negotiations had to start, right, with Tim Tszyu 5 days after the fight. If shall Tim Tszyu be successful, negotiations had to go and start with between Tim Tszyu's promotional company and Terence Crawford's promotional company, because Terence Crawford activated his mandatory clause in the WBC structure. So had Tim Tszyu won, they had 5 days to start negotiation with Terence Crawford. Yes. But since Sebastian Fundora won, those negotiations don't fall on Sebastian Fundora. He's a new champion. Meaning the progress that Tim Tszyu was making with the WBO, or whichever direction they were heading him into, and the fights they had him scheduled, were on the line of his championship reign, not Sebastian Fundora's championship reign. Once Sebastian Fundora won that belt, there's no negotiation with Terence Crawford in 5 days. That's off the table. And this shit gets interesting. Because now Errol Spence Jr. just jumped in the ring and might have potentially hopped in line. We're gonna find out. All right. Tim Tszyu would have won that fight in my eyes. Yeah, I think he would have won that fight in a lot of people's eyes, brother. All right. Had he not suffered that cut, I think I think he would have broke down Sebastian Fundora like a tree. Ninth, 10th round. Yeah, I think Sebastian Fedora would have been really hurt by that time with all those shots Tim Tszyu would have been landing. He was landing quite frequently in that first round, and he was popping his head back like a pen dispenser. Yeah, he was, and he was just snapping Fedora, and round and round of that is gonna weigh on Sebastian. Without that cut, this would have been a different fight. I just know it. I believe that Sebastian still had a chance of winning the fight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was boxing great. Sebastian wasn't making stupid, mistakes. I don't think he was capitalizing on every opportunity. I seen a lot of good opportunities for him in the moments. I thought he took breaks in between some of the rounds, and you know, but kudos for him for fighting. Man, that kid fought. He fought. Yeah, and he suffered Jermaine Ortiz. Yeah, he suffered that. That was yep. What's up, Richie? Richard, what's up, baby? How you doing? What's up, Armando? That call was nasty, bro. Yeah, it was. Jim Tszyu deserves a rematch. Absolutely. Um, what the fuck, dude? uh, he definitely deserves it. He's more than um He deserves a rematch if you ask me. I don't think that Sebastian Fundora should entertain the Errol Spence Jr. fight, but Errol Spence Jr. has a big name. Errol Spence Jr. is a pay-per-view fighter as well, and he's coming off of a loss, a bad loss. It could be a good time to attack him and to beat and have that kind of name under your record as Sebastian Fundora as a champion. Sharing the ring with some of these men. He can come back and relive that Tim Tszyu fight. I mean, Tim Tszyu's gonna have to heal that hole in the fucking top of his head. Okay, so he's gonna be out for a little while. And it looks like Errol Spence Jr. is, more or less, and Sebastian Fundora needs 6 months. He needs 6 months, and he'll be ready. He'll be ready. He'll be ready right around the time, right around 7 months, right in there. And Errol Spence Jr. will see him, and he's been out the ring. So the last time he was in the ring was in July against Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. So uh, I think he's gonna want to get back in the ring as soon as possible, depending on the injuries and Sebastian Fundora. I'm not next to him. I don't know. Yeah. You guys got to understand that a lot of these a lot of these bruises don't show up into the next day, and depending on what it is, yeah. So yeah, he does deserve a rematch. He really does. But is he going to get it? There's a lot of big names coming Sebastian Fundora's way. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., those are some of the top names in all of boxing. So had it not been for those kind of names, yeah, he needed to shoot that back with Tim Tszyu, man. Tim Tszyu deserves it. And then Jermel Charlo. We're all sitting around throwing around all these names, but let's not forget who the real champion of that belt was. Tim Tszyu's like, oh, that's my belt. Like, you had some unfinished business. And now look at all this shit Jermel Charlo was doing, right? And look where his belt ended up now. You know, I don't know what my man's gonna do. I think he has a fight scheduled in September. I think it is. I'm not sure. I gotta go double check that. So don't hold me to that. I saw something somewhere, and then the month and his name is like popping in my head for some reason. So I gotta go. I should have never even said that. So I gotta go check on that shit. Um, so yeah, let me read some more other things. Rolly was never at that level. Yeah, he was never at that level, bro. He really wasn't. I don't know how he became a world champ. I try to tell you, I made a video about this. You guys seen it. Lloyd was there. What's up, Lloyd? You guys were in there when I showed that video of Rolly um hitting the pads with his dad. That was horrible to watch. And that guy was the WBA world champion at 140, bro. You know, um, look, there's life at 160, and I really believe that Errol Spence Jr. can go up there and become a champion. Um, well, he won. Lara won, and it was good, but Lara's competition wasn't all that great neither. And he's 40 years old. So he's getting up there. And you could see where there's been a decline in his fight game. Errol Spence Jr., man, he has a lot of opportunity, but we're gonna see where he ends up. Yeah, he only fought the low level guys, Rich. They know matchmakers know what they're doing. The only big name Rolly fought was Tank Davis, and that was a money fight. It was an in-house fight. They were both signed to Mayweather promote. It was an easy fight to do. Um, and Tank wanted to stay active too. And they got him that fight. He didn't deserve that fight. He didn't belong in the ring with Tank Davis, and Tank Davis showed him why. One punch, he walked into it. He helped the punch. He basically wrapped his face around Tank Davis's fist voluntarily. Walked right into it. It's on some amateur shit. You do that in the fucking in an amateur fight. I don't know, man. What up? Road rage. What up? It was bloody. It was very bloody, brother. What's up, Carlos? I don't think it would be a walk in the park for Errol Spence Jr., but I think Errol Spence Jr. knows he matches up well with Sebastian Fedora's style. Errol Spence Jr.'s boxing style caters to Sebastian Fedora's boxing style. Terence Crawford is just above both of those guys when it comes to boxing. Terence Crawford is going to box basically circles around Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora really needs to learn how to utilize that reach better. This is the first fight that he actually utilized that weapon that he has. Once he gets a little bit more fluent with getting his mind to agree that he's this kind of fighter now. All night I know his inner fighter wanted to go into the inside with Tszyu, and he kept fighting that and kept believing in fighting long. You see, so that can be a problem for a lot of people because when Terence Crawford is making those sharp turns in, he can hit him from a distance and take him off balance. So when Terence is coming in to do that with right timing from Sebastian, he's so goddamn tall that he's looking at you at an angle. It's different. It's like fighting with your nephews in the living room and they're all little and they're running and you're throwing them all around. You know, um, when I was you play around with my nephews and stuff, they all 14, 15, 16 years old. And I go outside and like there'd be three, sometimes four of them, and they would attack me, right? And they would always wonder how I would win. And it would just because they were young. They were green. And just me being calm, I'd have them all on top of each other, like laying, hold them on the ground like this, and they yelling, "Oh, give me off!" Like right. So Sebastian has that kind of advantage on a fighter, where that he's looking down at the fighter, man, and it's got to be a serious advantage. And that jab that he has with that 1-2, it's when he becomes more fluent as a fighter, like I said, he can present a lot of fighters, and he doesn't have to be that skill when you have such an advantage. It'll minimize a lot of his skill. So it's a dangerous fight, but Terence Crawford is real smart. He's a different kind of fighter. He's the type of fighter that makes reads and adjustments. Not every fighter can do this. Okay. For some fighters, for instance, okay, Rolly couldn't make no reads or adjustment. He kept getting punched with the overhand right or the overhand left by Eastside Pitbull Cruz. And it seemed every time he got hit with it, he was surprised. Like that's the first time he got hit in the fight by that hand. Oh shit, I didn't know that was coming. Oh shit, damn it. He doesn't know how to make reads. When an elite fighter makes reads and you hit him with that shot, good luck on trying to hit him with that shot again. He knows what you did. He knows what he did wrong in that moment. He's not going to make that mistake again. Terence Crawford's on that kind of shit, and that's a different kind of fighter. He's a different kind of creature. Sebastian Fundora is a little too green still in this part of his career to fight an elite fighter. And I would say that the height and the thing would be, but not when you're fighting against a man like Terence Crawford. No. Terence Crawford's going to figure that shit out eventually. And he's going to impose his will on him. Depending how Terence Crawford is. I mean, he looked amazing against Errol Spence Jr. I know he's getting up there in age. All men do not age the same. Terence Crawford seems to be, he's still got good movement in his feet. He's not moving in and out of the left and right position like he used to. He would switch to southpaw and righty real frequently. In fact, in the beginning part of his career, he was so nice at it that I'm telling you right now, I didn't notice he switched. I didn't notice. He looked too fluent. He didn't look, like when you try to write with your left hand and right versus your right hand, you're gonna tell the difference, right? He switched in the ring to lefty, and until the commentator said something, I was like, "Oh shit, he is!" And he was just fluent. He was moving great to the left. He was moving great, fighting great to the right. Not a lot of fighters can do that. And then he can switch both hands. He's not doing that now. So I seen that, in fact, Terence Crawford has chilled out on some things. He's trimming his fighting style, throwing lesser punches, using lesser energy, and making his punches count. He knows a lot about fighting now, and he realizes he might have been doing a little too much in the beginning part of his career, where that now you trim the fat off your fighting, and you're like, wait a minute, I can get to the same target, to the same spot by doing less. Just do this. Pow! Nope, that works. Instead of doing all this, doing this, feint this. No. Oh, and he's so he's very dangerous, Terence Crawford. I believe he would be a little too much for Sebastian Fundora, and I believe him and his father should know that. The better fight out of the two would be an Errol Spence Jr. fight or a Tim Tszyu rematch. Now, Jamel Charlo can come out of nowhere, out of left field, and throw a monkey wrench in all this shit because legitimately is the king and the owner of all those belts. They didn't beat him, bro. They didn't beat him. And until you beat that man, we know it. We know it. I don't care what he's doing in his life behind the scene, what his personality is as a person, whether you like him. That none of that shit matters, bro. The truth is the truth. Nobody beat him for those belts. And that's how I see it. I see boxing. That's it. That's why we're here at this channel, because we're cutting through all the bullshit, you know? And he can come in, and I'm not sure where he's gonna lie in this situation or equation, because what's gonna end up happening is probably gonna be a fight with Tim Tszyu and Jamel Charlo for no belts. To be the people to fight for the belts or some crazy shit like that. Um, I've seen that a lot in boxing happen. But that was real interesting how Errol Spence Jr. just popped in the ring, bro, and he tried to cut in line, baby. It's a dog eat dog world. I got a family to provide for too, damn it. Errol Spence Jr. said, I got kids and shit. I got bills. I need me a fight. And it's not just for one belt. It's for two belts. That'll put him right back, it'll lift his spirits. Errol Spence Jr., he'll feel like that champion again. You know what I mean? So I see what he's doing, man. I can't knock him for promoting yourself. If no one else is doing it for you, baby, get your name out there. You need to get out there sometime and advertise for yourself. But you see the way that Errol Spence Jr. did it with class. With class. He went in there and asked him for the fight. He didn't go in there saying, "Yo, motherfucker, yo, I'm fresh." No, he didn't do any of that. You know how we Americans, we get crazy, right? And it was cool. It was cool the way he had, with a smile. Yo, I would like to fight. Yeah, he was looking up at him like this. He's like, yo, I like to fight you, bro. You know what I mean? But he did it with class, and I can respect that. I can respect it. He doesn't have to fucking honor Terence Crawford. He ain't promoting fucking Terence Crawford's name now, is he? All right, he might have lost to him, but shit. I'm trying to get my baby. You know what I mean? So he doesn't have to be like, oh, Terence Crawford put in the mandatory. Let me not be there just in case Sebastian was to win so that I can respect Terence Crawford's wishes. Fuck that. He died right in there. you know? You know, what up, Carlos? Yeah. How can you be? You know, they're always going to go back and look at this fight, and all of us, well, I'm not going to say all of us, okay? A lot of us are going to say that that cut and that blood in his eye altered the fight. And I'm in agreement with that. I'm in agreement with that because I have two eyes. And I can see the man wiping the blood off his face, for God's sake, trying to block a punch, throw a punch, wipe his eye again. It was clearly affecting him. And if there's something affecting you in a world title fight that's not allowing you to be the fighter that you are, then that is a handicap. There was something in the fight that, now, had it been a punch that caused that cut, I got no complaints. There's no sympathy from me. If Sebastian Fundora cocked back and punched Tim Tszyu right here and split his shit, well, then he's going to have to fight and figure it out because that was a legitimate punch. And that blood is coming out of his eye because he put them hands to that face. That is legit. I couldn't say, I'd say, oh, yeah, the blood was affecting him, but it was a punch. So that was, it wasn't a punch. It was an elbow. He had caught him right here. So a freak accident. When's the last time we seen somebody get cut on the top of their forehead by ducking down from an elbow? You know what I mean? You know, we probably seen him throw a punch, miss, and catch him with the elbow, split the eye like that. I've seen that. Yeah, that happens a lot, you know. But on the top of the forehead with that, you know, that was a freak cut, man. And because of that kind of cut. But if you guys want to be mad at somebody, and I keep pointing this out, be mad at Tim Tszyu's corner. Yeah, because Tim Tszyu might not want to be mad at them and might not blame them for that, but that was kind of their fault. They needed to protect their fighter, and they needed to find that stuff to cut that. That cut was too big. And then whether Tim Tszyu realized it or not, he could have felt fine. He was losing a lot of blood. The human body only has so much blood in it anyway. So you're not going to tell me that round after round, all that blood that was coming out of him, it was coming out of his mouth, his nose, his head. He had other cuts. He was bleeding out of other places, right? And that way, listen, even Tim Tszyu said, he said, I sat down, it was just like an open faucet, just pouring out. You know, oh, come on, man. He could have felt strong, but he has no idea how weak his body and his muscles and his twitch muscles were starting to fail him. He might have not been noticing that shit. He might have been too focused in the fight to notice it. But he was bleeding, bro. He was bleeding all the whole fight, man. Yo, that front row of the people that were there, depending on, you put it on the Spanish channel, like the Telemundo, they be showing the blood, right? That's why I love those Spanish channels. Yo, people have blood all over their shirts. Yeah, the people that were there was blood all over the table, everything. The American channels, they don't show you it, but yeah, there was blood all over. He was losing a lot of blood, bro, and whether he knows it or not, they needed to stop that cut, bro. They had to. They had to put that solution inside of his head, and his corner did not have that. That you got to call it what it is, bro. They needed to help Tim Tszyu, bro. They didn't. They didn't. Had they been able to control that blood in that cut, you know, there's been a lot of fights that men have sustained big cuts. They had great corner cut men, guys that been in the game for a long time that know how to deal with a cut. Not some amateur shit, bro. No, that was amateur night at Apollo with that cut, bro. And they were acting like they were treating it well. Vaseline and some prayer wasn't gonna stop the bleeding, bro. Vaseline does not stop bleeding, bro. They weren't even putting the Vaseline on the right places, neither. They were putting the Vaseline on his forehead and they were forgetting to put Vaseline on his face. They started panicking and started putting globs of it right here. They didn't do this on the fighter so that the other punches slip out. They forgot about all that. That's how much inexperience they had to do with them cuts, bro. Tim Tszyu doesn't get cut like that, bro. And I don't think they anticipated him getting cut against this tall dude. They were like, there's not gonna be a clash of heads. That's the one thing that's not gonna happen tonight is a clash of heads. But they didn't think a clash of elbow and head. No one saw that. No one thought that. And it happened. And it happened. And I believe that cut and the fact that they couldn't stop the blood cost them the fight. Because if they gave Tim Tszyu at least his vision, stopped the blood, and gave him a chance, I think without the blood falling in his eye, he would have fought better. He would have fought better. You agree, Carlos? Yeah, man. Listen, I know, I know I'm right. Everybody wants to look at. No, the blood was pouring in his eye. Yeah, I get it. His blood was pouring in his eye, but they could have did something about that. You do know that, right? They failed Tim Tszyu, bro. His corner failed him, man. That's the truth. His corner can say anything they want right now. No, it was a close fight. We want a rematch. They don't want to address the elephant in the room. You let them down, bro. That's the truth. Because they they had to know that they were in the corner with Tszyu. They were discussing this. It happened in the second round. Yo, are we gonna go to the scorecards? Tszyu said, "Hell no. I could beat him. I could beat him. I just need help. Just stop the bleeding, and I'll fight him." They just could. He was doing his part. They couldn't do his part. Where's your team at, baby? They failed you. That's it. That's how I feel. I'm sorry. His cut man failed him. Lloyd, you know it. Word, baby. Carlos, yeah. Show me some love, guys. Please hit that like button too. Yo, it's just the truth, man. And these are the things when you come around one sports talk, baby, we see different insights. And me and you guys, we chop it up. Whatever y'all see, y'all gonna tell me. And I'm gonna tell you what I see. And we gonna come to a lot of this bullshit that be happening in fucking boxing because we need to stop a lot of this stuff. And as we I built this channel and our voices get stronger, man. And I'm gonna get out to some of these fights. This ain't gonna stop here. I'm not gonna stay behind this stupid little desk and just looking into this camera every day and just reading these fighters. That's not my vision. What I have for Round One Sports Talk. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna make. I'm trying to get like this up and. You don't make a lot of money on the videos, but donations been helping out great, and I've been stacking that because I'm gonna buy me a plane ticket to these fights, and I'm gonna get me inside there, and I'm gonna get me some of these interviews, and I'm gonna bring it to you guys, and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna make some connections. I'm not gonna stay behind this fucking camera. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I didn't get into this game to be right here. I'm gonna bring it to you, but I gotta make my way. And these dudes don't want to let me in the game, bro. Trust me when I tell you, I done reached out to a lot of these suckers. Ain't none of them call me back. They don't want to let me in. But it doesn't matter because I'm better than them dudes. And I'm better than bringing you guys boxing insight, boxing news, and everything. And when I'm telling you right now, I am the show. And I'm going to bring it. Listen, I'm going to get a voice. I want to say some shit about some people. I'm not there yet. And I know it. I know they got me. They got me right now. Their channels is big. But they be saying some bullshit. And I'm like, I'm not gonna cloud chase and be like, use somebody else's platform. I'm not about that. I could be petty, right? Right. But I'm not. No, I want my insight, my boxing mind, my boxing IQ, real boxing shit here. Let me get there first. And if I got something to say about somebody, I'll say when I'm there. But I'm gonna get there because I'm not staying right here. No, I didn't know. I ain't doing that shit. Well, yo, man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, man. This was the year that I started. If you've been coming to Round One Sports Talk and you've been following me, you know since the beginning of this year, what was the theme for this year? Be prepared to watch your favorite fighter lose. Did I not call it? And that's going to be the theme for this year. That's my theme for the entire year. And I knew that coming in because of the way that of the explosion in 2023. The dominoes were starting to line up, and Tim Tszyu one of the first victims. Be prepared to watch your favorite fighter lose. He just lost right there. Boom, new champion. I told you we're gonna get some new champions. It's gonna happen. It's gonna looks to be one of those kind of years. It's going where a lot of belts are gonna exchange hands, and a lot of belts have already exchanged hands already. He is still dreaming of a Javante Tate Davis rematch. Isaac Pitbull Cruz, when questioned and asked in the middle of the ring yesterday in his victory, the first name that mumbled out of his mouth was Javante, Javanta. And then he said guys at 140. But the first name that spilled out of his mouth, he was a little, before you could tell, right? He wants Javante. And the reason why he wants Javante, for the obvious reason. Damn it, he's almost his height. He's got the biggest name, and he's not the biggest fighter. We've already fought against each other, and we kind of know each other. Bro, let me get Javante again. Javanta. Why would I want to go and fight Subriel when we're like this? Where the monster that he is. Why would I want to go fight Tszyu? Why would I want to fight? Oh my God, Devin Haney. You see? So when his options, bro, he would love to fight Tank Davis. Tank Davis is only an inch taller than him, bro. That's right up his alley. Tank Davis is a banger too. He's gonna get in there and slug it out. That's Esau Pitbull's Cruz's greatest nemesis right there. And he's the highest paid, second highest paying boxer right now. Are you fucking kidding me? Why wouldn't you want to fight Tank Davis? I'd rather fight Tank Davis than Tio. I'll make more money with Tank Davis than I would with Tio. Hands down. Tio ain't even sold out his last 3 fights. Nowhere. And that's the truth. I'm not even hating on Tio. I'm just saying facts. Because I like Tio until he said that dumb shit about Puerto Rico. And I'm still not gonna hold him on it. Because I like boxers. And if you're boxing right, you're boxing right. Tio ain't sold out his last 3 fights. You ain't gonna make Eastside Pitbull Cruz ain't gonna fucking sell out Las Vegas. He might. The Mexicans might back his ass. The thing that Eastside Pitbull Cruz got is Mexican backing, and they'll follow fighters. They're rich culture, boxing history. So now that he's champion, oh shit, he might sell some good tickets. But you're not gonna do that with Tio. You're gonna have to help Tio. His fans are not responding. No, they're not. They're not. They're just not. So Tank Davis would be the biggest. The only other person, the other 2 champions that he can fight with and make a lot of money, Devin Haney is selling out arenas, and Subir Matias is selling out arenas right now. And he can fight against Subriel and Devin Haney any day. And he's gonna sell out arenas. Now, depending if he's gonna fight Subriel in Puerto Rico. And now you know what? Let me hop off that storyline and that narrative. Let me retract that. I just didn't say that because I sound like one of those guys that copy, repeat right there. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, a lot of people are gonna have to go out to Puerto Rico to fight Subriel." Hold up, hold up. This is his first fight in Puerto Rico. Like his first big title fight. Like you guys act like this is all he's been doing. He only fights in Puerto Rico and he's never fought anywhere else. No, he's just fought everywhere else. He's trying to give Puerto Rico a big fight. You see? So Subriel's never been the type of fighter that has been an only island fighter and that you would have to go to his island to fight him. So by me saying, oh, nobody want to go to Puerto Rico, bro, that was never a thing. That was never a problem with Subriel. Never. You want to fight Subriel, bro, that motherfucker will fight you in your fucking backyard. Yes, he will. Okay, so that was never a problem. So for me to come out and say, "Does anybody want to go to Puerto Rico?" Well, that's never been an issue with Subriel. Subriel will fight you on the moon. So so yeah. Um, Look, Esau Pitbull Cruz, congratulations. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he can shock a lot of people and prove a lot of doubters wrong. Sweepy Pernell Whitaker was a small man and he shocked a lot of people. Tank Davis is a small man. He's shocking a lot of people. Naoya Inoue is a small man and he is shocking a lot of people. So because of being short and small, if you got the skills, Esau Pitbull Cruz obviously knows the type of fighter that he is. He knows his style of fighting, and he really he knows himself. I don't think his boxing style caters to the traditional boxing style, but you know, I, I, I don't. That's why I see that Devin Haney's a bad fight for him. For Isa Pitbull Cruz, Devin Haney's a bad fight. It's quiet as kept. So Bria Matias would be a better fight for a fighter like such as Isa Pitbull Cruz that likes to go in the inside and mix it up. You know, he knows how to block. He has a really tight defense. He's really stingy. He takes a lot of shots to the top part of the head and where boxers can fracture and break their hand, like Tank Davis did. He fractured both his hands in that fight because Isa is so low to the thing that you'll hit the top of his head and you'll damage your hands and you'll be reluctant to throw punches and he'll captivate on that. You know, a fighter can tell when another fighter's hand is injured, sometimes, a lot of times, in fact. So, um, you know, um, come to think about it, the Subriel Matias fight against Isa Pitbull Cruz would cater better to him. Even though Subriel hits so freaking hard, and I don't see for how long Isa Pitbull Cruz can take those punches, but he's starting to show that he's strong. I mean, he walked through Rolly's punches, and Rolly was known for being a gym bully. Rolly was known for hit cracking hard. That was the one thing that was going around in the gym that Rolly hit really hard. And it didn't seem like any of Rolly's punches bothered or affected Cruz in the least bit in the fight. At all. At no point in the fight. And his defense was really tight. He didn't give him a lot of opportunities. And Rolly couldn't figure it out. He had to go down and go around the guard like Naoya Inoue does to his opponents and goes over here to the side. He doesn't know how to do that. He's not that skilled. But Subriel Matias is a dangerous, dangerous man. We all know who he is now. And if you don't know who he is, I recommend you check him out, some of his highlights. And if you have time, watch some of his last fights. He is now one of the only men in boxing history that retired 5 straight fighters in a row like that. It was something, to watch. It's like I always told my friend, you hit a shot one time. Yo, that was luck, right? You hit it twice. That shit's still luck. You hit that same shot 5 times in a row. That's no longer luck. That's no longer luck. He made the last 5 of his guys quit, or the referee, or the corner. He made guys that were undefeated fighters retire from the sport, walk away from that beating. They just, they're not gonna be the same fighter. So I don't know where Aesop Pitbulls really go from here. We all know that when that microphone is in your face, the fighter's gonna say what he needs to say to make it sound good. But behind the scene, they're not gonna take that fight, and they will pay keep away with that belt. Aesop Pitbull Cruz can. I would like to look up right now who is the WBA number one ranked opponent right now. Does anybody know who the WBA 140-pound number one guy is right now, and who he is? I want to know who that is. So I'm gonna look more up into that. Ah, yeah, yeah, yes, that is true. Most of Tio's fans were Rican because of the way his father even talks. That New York Rican style. And he even adopted that shit. So for his father allowed his son, he know them Puerto Ricans had his back. And Tio went off the deep end with that shit. Yeah, he know. But Subriel's gonna, he's gonna catch up to that ass, man. Tio, listen, Tio's on some drunk punk, whatever, sucker's podcast, right? Whatever his name is, right? And you could see that this dude, like, damn nigga, get off Tio's dad's lap, nigga. Like he's on Tio's dad's lap doing the interview with his thumb in his mouth. Like, like how hard can you be on that dude's nuts like that, bro? It's crazy. Like anything for an interview, I guess. He must be family or something. The way yo, bro, he's like on Tio's dad's lap every interview. Some punch drunk dude, whatever his name is. And his Tio's father's on there talking about Subria's ducking him and that they sent him an offer. Yo, we all know that this shit is bullshit, bro. It's facts. It's all over the internet. He had an injury in his hand. There was no that he had to have his hands healed. Like, bro, they were and you're gonna sneak in. First, you come in, you find out that he has an injury. This is how Tio's father works. He comes in, he finds out he has an injury. He waits one day and he comes back and he offers them a fight. Then he knows that in that time, Subria was going through promotional company switches where Ed Hearn was announcing he was signing his new fighter. So he was kind of like in a promotional stalemate at that time. Subriel, remember, Subriel can't make the fight happen. The promotionals gotta, in your promotional, right? Subriel can't go fight. I fight you to Tio, right? So Subriel's telling him, bro, I'm coming off an injury and I'm switching a promotional company. Wait a minute, give me a second. Yeah, I want to fight you, but hold up. Then Tio's father turns around the next day on social media. Oh, he's ducking me. He doesn't want to fight my son. He just wants to duck my son. Why don't we tell the truth? Bro, all this shit talking is gonna bury your son, bro. You're just and I mean that in like a joking sense. I know we fucking talking about Subriel here, and that topic is a little we don't you know what I mean? I just remembered who I was talking about doing that. I was like shit, right? But he's gonna whoop Tio's ass. If Tio was to ever fight him, because something really tells me that Tio doesn't want that smoke. He wants someone else to eliminate Subria Matias. And don't you understand that if he was to sign up and actually fight Subria Matias and lose to him, all that shit talking he did is going to come back to bite him. And that might bury his career. The fact that Tio's fan base is not responding because half of his fan base were Puerto Rican and his dumb ass went and put his foot in his mouth. Even this Puerto Rican right here Tio won me over when he fought fucking Loma. I was in my living room fucking cheering Tio on. Come on, Tio! He was a young kid, man. Loma was, he already had two gold medals. Loma was Loma, man. I was rooting for the underdog, and Tio was doing a little Fortnite dance. He was on fire. Tio was on fire. And I like Tio as a fighter, but lately, he's just been a crybaby, a sore sport, and saying the wrong things and turning a lot of people off with his approach to the game. It's not my fault your wife cheated on you. It's not my fault she took you to the cleaners. It's not my fault you should have listened to your mother, Tio. That's not my fault. It's not the Puerto Ricans' fault, bro. We were supporting your ass. But every move you did, bro, man, listen. So now it's fuck Tio for now until he gets past Subriel, and then maybe I'll support him again because I really don't got anything personal against him. I just don't like the way he was like all Puerto Rican fighters like easy. You put him in front of me, like really. So if we were to look up the history of Honduras fighters, world champions in the history of boxing, and all the Puerto Rican world champions, I think we got more Puerto Rican world champions than there ever were Honduras world champions, for one. If we want to go down if we want to open up that can of worms, I didn't do this. Tio said this shit, right? Okay. So if you want to keep it funky, You know, you how many champions you guys have had in the history of boxing? I'll wait. It might have been a couple Honduras great fighters, one or two. I very doubt that Honduras has more world champions throughout the course of boxing than Puerto Rican champions. I don't even want to bring up no shit like this, but Teal be opening his mouth and saying some dumb fucking shit, bro, that he makes people be like, motherfucker, what? Like, but anyway, listen, yo, he's sorry as hell. And we know that he lost to Ortiz. We know it, bro. Ortiz outboxed that ass. He had Tio frustrated in the ring, didn't he? Oh, Tio, listen, Tio is in all kinds of trouble. He was telling him, stop running around, like, stand right here. Hey, yo, and the kid had him frustrated. He was like, nah, this shit's working, Pap. This shit's working, Pap. Yo, yo, he was whooping his ass, too. I just think Jermaine needed to close a little stronger. I think he would have sealed it. I think he should have sat down on his punches at the last and really make an impression. You know, if you're gonna beat the champion, I agree you have to beat the champion. And in close fights, I know this in the back of my mind. And when it happens, sometimes I'm upset, but I know it. If it's a close fight, it's gonna go the champion's favor. They're gonna give the champion what they say consider the champion's nod. Because you didn't definitively beat the champion. And some of those judges, see, these judges are old as fuck. You got to look out into the judging thing, right? These guys, some of these judges are old school and they live by an old school boxing law where that if you're going to come and beat the champ, you got to beat him. But if it's a close fight, you didn't do enough to beat the champion, he's going to remain champion. And when that happens, sometimes I'm upset, but and then I'll take a moment or whatever and I'll realize, yeah, you know, Tio Fima Lopez got the champions robbery. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they gave him the fight, right? You know what I mean? He didn't deserve that fight, bro. They didn't deserve that fight. Ortiz won that fight hands down. But hey, it is what it is, man. You know, yeah, guys. Look, man. That was a great fight last night. And by the way, I also checked up on Camille Moten, which also fought that night on the card. Camille Moten had an 8-round fight scheduled. He looked good in the fight. He fought Cuba. Um, and both young men were undefeated, I believe. And Camille Moten was tested, but he looked strong. He looked strong. The kid Cuba had a good chin, bro. Boy, did he have a good chin. Camille Moten was catching him often and frequently in that fight with some hard shots that I've seen Camille Moten put down some of those guys in the gym with. So some of those same shots and that kid had a good chin. He had him stunned, hurt. You know, had the fight been a 10-round fight or a 12-round fight, Camille finishes him. But he couldn't finish him, but he got the victory. It was an impressive victory. I believe he won all 8 rounds. If I missed anything, maybe Cuba won one because I saw the highlights and I understand that they make the highlights Camille look a lot better, you know. Um, and then so I started watching the back end of the fight. I wanted to really pay attention to his closing game. If he has you hurt, what does he look like? You know, is he the type of fighter that'll shy away? Is he an aggressive fighter? Camille Moten got caught with some big shots coming in, and he has a good chin. You know, a real good chin. That Cuban dude hit him with a couple overhand rights, and it didn't even phase the kid. Camille, bang, and then he just kept coming forward, and it was a pretty good shot. And I wanted to see what he looked like in those kind of situations. He's growing, he's learning. He looks really good right now, for as young as he is, and he looks pretty polished. You know, the sky's the limit for a kid like that. I hope Floyd Mayweather and his team don't spoil him, get him, fuck him up and shit. I hope they treat him right. You know, when they got a good one right there, you know, they got a good one in this kid, and let's see what happens. I still don't think that, a lot of people will say, "Oh, he can fight Naoya Inoue in his debut." That's going a little too far, but the kid is good. The kid is good. The kid is actually good. So I want to see some more of him. Salute from Florida. What up, baby? How you doing? PR in the building. How you guys doing out here? You know, where's everything start? At round one. So we on a lot of the fights and a lot of the big fights that are coming up. Like I said, I was reading off the schedule for the next upcoming fights. And the next fight that we should be getting that's a big fight is April 20th with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Ryan Garcia looks on track to make that fight. So we're going to be seeing their showdown go down. And then on May 4th, we have Saul Canelo Alvarez making his ring return against Jaime Munguia. Now that can be an upset fight right there. It could be another fight where you can see your favorite fighter lose. Jaime Munguia could upset the cart. A lot of boxing fans think that he's still too young in the sport, where that he would fall for some of the the traps that Saul Canelo Alvarez would set. I don't think some guys think that he gets hit a little bit too much, Jaime Munguia. I think he did better against Ryder. He's starting to show his patience. I believe he beat Ryder better than Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had him hurt, couldn't finish him. So that's saying a lot. So time will tell as we get closer to that fight. We're going to talk more about that fight. May 6th, we have the ultimate fight. We have Naoya Inoue, the Japanese superstar, coming in against his opponent, the Mexican Luis Pantera Nares. And Luis Nares is a very game opponent. He's been in this situation. He beat the former Japanese superstar not once but twice. We know the history behind that, and this is why we got this fight today. This Japanese superstar right now is looking for redemption for his country of Japan and to show Luis Nares that all Japanese fighters are not the same and that he's going to teach him a lesson. That is May 6th. That is one of the biggest fights of the year. If you don't know a lot about this guy, I encourage you to come join me, watch his fight. Trust me, you'll become a fan. Okay. May 11th, we got Loma, George Camboza, fighting for the 135-pound championship of the world. Loma, I got Loma in this fight. I think he moves just him and George Campos are kind of similar fighters, but everywhere that George is good at, Loma excels in every avenue. His footwork's better, his jab's better, his speed's better, his twitch muscles are better, and I believe Loma has better power than George Camboza. I think and he checks out all the boxes, and I got Loma in this fight. Loma is a good fighter. He's a great fighter. Um, and then we have the clash of the heavyweight titans. May 18th, we got Tyson Fury versus Usyk. We will have a king in the heavyweight division on May 18th, and that will be in Saudi Arabia. All four belts are on the line. Tyson Fury's coming in as the WBC champion, and Usyk has the remaining of the belts, and the lineal belt. So this is gonna be a big fight, So uh, the lineal belt's on the line, and so yeah, so that's gonna be a really big fight. Then we got May 25th. We got Josh Taylor versus Jack Carterall. Now that's a rematch in which I think Jack Catterall won the first fight. Honestly, he did. I don't see where Josh Taylor was just winning these rounds that these guys are talking about. I don't see where he was winning. Uh he won a few rounds, but not the rounds that these guys were talking about. And then Josh Taylor was dropped in the fight. He got a standing 8 count. I know they took the point away from Jack Catterall in the fight. I saw the fight, right? But Josh Taylor didn't win that fight, bro. He fought him in his backyard. in Josh Taylor's hometown. It was like Scotland versus Ireland type shit. And them dudes don't like each other. So yo, I thought Jack Hatterall beat him, bro. And that's my opinion. That's my opinion. And he went in to that Tio fight after that kind of performance. That's why a lot of people didn't want to give him a lot of credit for that. See now, look, we could be here all night with that one too, man. But that's gonna be an amazing fight. They're shooting it back. So that's Josh Taylor, Jack Catterall, right? They're gonna be that's May 25th. You got June 1st. You got another fight for undisputed status at the 105 205 division. I'm sorry. Cruiser, you got Demetrius Bivol coming against Arthur Benavides. Now that's June 1st. Now that's going to be for all four belts. Now that fight right there is going to answer all the questions I have. I seem to be on an island by myself. Everybody thinks that Demetrius Bivol is this hell of a fighter, that he should be on pound for pound list and everything. And I'm like, wait a minute. You guys got to pump your brakes. Yeah, he beat Saul Canelo Alvarez, but Saul Canelo Alvarez was moving up in weight. He was the little guy, right? And Demetrius Bivol fought in his weight division. He's a big guy, and he can fucking fight. But is he that fighter? When he fought that IBO champion and he couldn't knock him out, I asked myself just one question. How would that IBO champion fare against Arthur Benavides? That's all I need to know. I know styles make fights. Neither of these guys have a unique style that separate each other so much, in fact, that you could say that. Nah, they all basically boxers, right? Same style, a little different, but not too far off. So that's right up all their alleys. It's not no style make fights type thing. Demetrius Bill couldn't get that guy out of there. I started realizing, I was like, wait a minute, he might be good, but is he that good? But he had beat Saul Canelo Alvarez at his weight. Not too sure, And so we're about to find out. Yo, I think Arthur Benavides is going to knock out Demetrius Bivol. I think he's going to knock him out. He's going to expose him listen, and I'm not saying that Demetrius Bivol is not a good fighter. No, the man can box. The man can fight. The man knows what he's doing. But is he him? Is he him? Is what I'm asking. Is he him? When I see Arthur Benavides walk in the room, when I see that man, I go, that's him. Mama, that goes that man right there. That's him. When I see him walk in the room, I go, that's him. When I see Terence Crawford walk in the room, I go, that's him. When I see etc. When I see Demetrius Bivol walk in the room, I'm not saying that's him. No, there's someone above you. Like, move to the side. Oh, what's up, Arthur? How you doing? That's him. That's what I'm saying. I don't think so. We about to find out. If he shocks the world, then he gonna shock me too. And I'll come on, I'll be the first one to give him his flowers. All right. But I'm just saying, I'm not quick to put the cart. Yeah, you beat Saul Canelo Alvarez. Yeah, you did. But you didn't beat Saul at a even playing field. You didn't beat Saul at his weight. But Saul was blimped up, sluggish. I saw it. He looked slow as fuck in the fight. That didn't look like Saul. Saul got a lot of controversy behind the ducking and everything else, but Saul's still Saul Canelo Alvarez. He didn't win all these belts because he picked them up off the floor. And that's all I'm saying. I'm saying I need to see that knocked out, bang out fight or that dominant performance from Demetrius Bivol to crown him. He's just not going to beat Saul and be crowned for me. No, I'm not easily impressed. I'm not easily impressed. No, you're not. No, I'm not. No. Someone's going to get exposed, Carlos. Someone is going to get exposed. Trust me, that's going to be a great fight. So that fight's gonna go down June 1st. We got June 29th. We got Juan Francisco Estrada, and he's going against Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters. Quickly, with every performance he does, he's listen, I see the intelligent things that that young man is doing in the ring. He's hitting fighters that are great boxers and good fighters with shots that, yo, they don't even see coming. And that's hard to do. It's hard to trick a veteran to get him with something he's never seen in the ring before or that no fighters tried on him. That's pretty hard to do for as young as Bam. You know what I mean? And the way Bam was doing it, he has real boxing ability. Bam Rodriguez. He has real boxing ability. So I like him, and a lot. I want to see this fight June 29th too as well. I'm gonna check that one out. And there are a lot of big fights that are in also June 15th. We got Subriel Matias fighting against Liam Perro up in Puerto Rico. So that's another good fight. In fact, I'm gonna be at that fight in Puerto Rico. I'm going to that fight. I already have my reservations for my hotel room. I've already booked that in advance. So I'll be going out there probably on the 9th. So from June 9th to June 16th, I'm going to be in Puerto Rico. Um, and then the fight's June 15th. So I'm going to watch the fight and I'm leaving the next morning and I'll be coming back. But the whole time on the island, hopefully I can get some inside interviews and bring you guys some content, maybe a little video from the island. Who knows? Maybe I might run into some legends from Puerto Rico like Felix Trinidad. Yo, Felix, you see my video? Remember my face, bro? Yo, I'm always trying to keep a high hope, but I'm not sure that'll ever happen. But I'm staying optimistic. You know what I mean? Fingers crossed. I hope. I've never met him. I don't. But I know people that equally know him, and they're gonna be in Puerto Rico on the same time, and that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get it where I fit in, baby. It's a hope. It's a hope. Keep hope alive. So yeah. So those are a lot of great fights right there. Big, big fights. I still have not heard anything from Stephen Kubo Fulton. Has anybody heard anything? I mean, radio silence, huh? After that ass whooping from Naoya Inoue, man, somebody needs to check on that man. Somebody right now, go to his Instagram with you, man. I'm starting to worry about that man. Yo, where is he? Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Yo, listen, I'm trying to tell you right now, right? I will. The reason why I'm talking about Stephen Kubo Fulton because after that loss, a man can go two different ways. A man can go inward, and Stephen Kubo Fulton was my American champion. The Japanese beat him on that night, and I love and I have respect for Naoya Inoue as a boxer, as competing and everything. I kind of take myself out of the equation for everything. That way I could have a more analytical and not have a horse in the race. And, because I noticed that when you're like rooting for one guy, you kind of be biased. So I always want to be fair about it, but I also want to see how he responds because it's big to see how a fighter responds. Emmanuel Rodriguez lost to the Japanese superstar and was thinking about retiring at one point in his career. Things weren't going right. And he persevered, and Emmanuel Rodriguez is the IBF champion now. Jason Maloney, after losing to him, he went on and became a world champion too. So there is life after death after losing, but not every man responds the same way. Some men, for victory, it could crush them, and they just don't come back the same fighter. They go out in their next performance, they look worse. Hector Luis Garcia got stopped by Tank Davis. Remember that fight, that Dominican fighter? He was the 130-pound champion. Tank Davis punched him in the head. He went blind in the corner. You guys remember that fight, right? What happened? Right after that loss with Tank Davis and getting knocked out for the first time in his career, when he went back down to 130 pounds to defend his world title, bro, that man was a shell of himself. He didn't even show up in that fight. Some fighters on a loss, they never like respond and be the same fighter. You're gonna have to do a lot of soul searching to bring yourself back. I know that a lot of us have problems in life, and sometimes we gotta do soul searching, but you gotta realize that, like, you dust yourself off. That was that moment, and teach yourself to close your ears to all the outside noise and focus on your craft and believe in yourself. It's hard to do, when you had two belts and everybody was around you yelling and the party was still going. The minute you lost those belts, yeah, I know how it's like, man. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, I just want to see how he responds, because he was a good champion. He was still growing when he came up against Naoya Inoue, although a lot of people really hyped him up. I knew, I knew he wasn't ready for a fighter like this Japanese guy. Um, the fact that he was much bigger, I was hoping he would give him a better fight. I still had the Japanese guy in leading into the fight. And I just didn't think he was going to lose every single round. So I want to see how he responds. I want to see how he responds, and I'm hoping to see some more of him in the future. Yes. So, guys, like I said, man, look, I will be at this Subria Matias fight. I'm going out there. I would like to see. I want to see him live. I think he's an explosive fighter. I think he's a promising champion for Puerto Rico. He has the potential to become a multiple division world champion. The best world champion as far as divisions we have for Puerto Rico, I believe, is Miguel Cotto's. Miguel Cotto's. I don't think there's another Puerto Rican champion, and that unless there's like a fighter like way, way, way back, because I'm pretty up to date with all my Puerto Rican champions, and I never remember any Puerto Rican champion having more than four weight divisions. Miguel Cotto has four weight divisions. So as far as weight divisions, he's our strongest Puerto Rican champion in our history. We've had dominant Puerto Rican champions throughout one division. Oh my God, we had some pretty good ones. We had some dominant ones from Wilfredo Benitez, Wilfredo Gomez. We had some great Felix Trinidad. We had some great champions that made good title runs, strong title runs. One of my favorite Puerto Rican champions, just for me anyway. Well, you guys know this if you've been following me, is Hector Camacho. Hector Camacho has a special place in my heart, man. He really does. He was a showman. That little curl, man. He was slick with his words. You couldn't out talk the Macho Man, baby. Listen, and he put on a show. He put on a show, and he really you know, he really put Puerto Rico on his back and shit. So that's the kind of like legacy I believe that Subriel Matias would like to be placed among Puerto Rican fighters when it's all said and done. So his birthday just passed. I believe it was March. No, his birthday. What day are we in right now? Oh shit, today's Subria Matias's birthday. Happy birthday, Subria Matias. If you ever see this video from us to Round One Sports Talk, today is Subria Matias's birthday. Yes, it is. So it's March 31st. So and they should be throwing him a little party. Right now, I believe he's in Mexico, in training camp in Mexico. So I don't think he's on the island right now. He's in Puerto Rico. I think he's already left to train. When he goes to train, he goes out to that it's like a little like a shack in the middle of nowhere of Mexico. It's like to drive to get like milk or something, you gotta drive like 2 hours or something. Like they are out there because that's how you train. You gotta have that all distractions away from you, and you got to go in the lab, bro. It's got to be you and your training and your focus. That's all the fighter needs. That real dungeon Rocky type training, and that's what Subriel does. If you didn't know this, and I know this for a fact, I know this for a fact. That's where he trains, that's where he's going, and that's his gonna be his situation. He once he's locked in, he locked in, baby. You're not gonna be able to get a hold of him. So unless he gets breaks in between his day or something, I don't know. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So today's his birthday, and I know some of the guys wanted to send him a shout out. Damn man, I kind of messed up on the day. Wow, Subriel Matias is born on Easter. Today's Easter. Happy Easter to everybody out there too. From me to Round One Sports Talk to you guys. I almost forgot that one too. A lot of things are starting to pop in my head. I was outside doing yard work on my thing, and I came in to talk boxing with you guys, because I always love to do this. This is my thing right here. Yeah, but it is his birthday, man. What's that? The place where he's at, where he's training? That's what it's called? He was crazy with the outfits. Remember the one day he came on? He came out. They were carrying him. Macho Man brought all that to boxing. Nobody did it like the Macho Man back then. Nobody. He came in with the fire when he was fighting Edwin, uh, uh, Rosa, what was his name again? Listen. Hector Camacho, man, he was something else, man. He really was, but he backed it up. When you got like Camacho in the lower weight divisions, when that Camacho was fighting, he was unbeatable, bro. He was unbeatable. He was undefeated in those low weight divisions. Nobody beat the Macho Man back then. And those he started moving. Edwin Rosario, he moved up in weight, and that was a bad fight for him, But behind the scenes, I learned later through his wife. His wife was the one that let me know this. That like she was serious in her conversation and everything, and she ain't got no reason to lie. No, nobody. Camacho's ex-wife. I'm talking about the promoter one, the one that she was real deep into boxing. She used to like manage Camacho's career. If you guys don't know all this, right? But his wife admitted it after he died when Camacho was fatally shot in Puerto Rico for whatever reason. There's a lot of speculation, but when Camacho died and she started talking, right? She was the one that said it. She said, "Yeah, Camacho had some substance abuse problems with coke and shit, But she said what I found real unique, even when I was mad at him. She said it came a point, because arrogance, the women, the money, he must have drove her crazy. So there was that time where that he wanted to fight and she was like, "You want this fight, motherfucker?" And she was like, "I'm gonna give you the fight," because she wanted the dude to whoop his ass, right? And she said it was true. He was really gifted as a fighter. She said Camacho would come in and train for 2 to 3 weeks leading into the fight. And he would go in there and wipe these dudes down. She said if he was to really get himself dedicated and focused when he got to the height of his career, there was too many distractions for him. Too many people were pulling him, and the money and everything and the celebrities. It could be overwhelming. And he fell a victim to that. But he was such a talented fighter that Camacho was able to secure these victories. And later, she was the one that told us that. And it was, and I believe her. And she was like, listen, you don't understand how good Camacho really was. And you could see it in her face. She was in tears a little bit talking about her Camacho and shit, but she revealed a lot of things about Camacho, some things I'm not willing to share with you guys because out of respect, that was from her to us. And I'll keep that to myself, but I'm just being honest with you guys, and I'm not boosting them up. I could see it. She was serious about it, and that's goes to speak of how talented he truly was. Yeah. Yeah, his mom's still heartbroken. They caught the guy that actually shot him, I guess, or whatever, and they finally like was convicting the dude after like I don't know, like 9 years or some crazy fuck shit like that. They had like no shooter, and their mom was like, and like a lot of people would like until like the fucking the town or whatever. I guess what happened was there was a big dude and he hired some dude to kill one dude. Camacho was there. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. They weren't coming for Camacho, but Camacho saw the shooter's face, I guess. And the shooter was like, I can't let you live. You see my face on some type shit like that. And I think he took Camacho out. That's the only logical thing we could come up with because it was obvious that, he was well loved. And Camacho, even if he had a fucking coke bill, Puerto Rico flipped it. Like that was their guy and shit. Like they weren't gonna shoot him over no dumb shit like that. So I don't know what happened. Those were rumors. I wasn't there. I really don't know if that story's true. And I'm just sharing a little bit of that what I think I know and what I was told. So if even if that story changes, well then you might know a better one than I do, right? But it wasn't really something I was tracking down. He was already dead. I was hurt. Me tracking it down wasn't going to bring him back. I was like, all right, he's got people for that, right? But then it came out that I guess the dude that put the hit on him, he got dealt with. So once the dude, the boss dude got dealt with, the hitman was on his own. And I guess after a few years, they didn't have no problem giving him up because the dude that was funding the hitman dude, he ain't here no more on some shit like that. But I don't know how true all this stuff is. It's just, back and forth talk, what I heard here, there, everywhere, and then I heard they made an arrest. But his mother, a mom's going to feel you're not supposed to bury your sons. You're supposed to bury your parents. A mother's not supposed to bury her son. It's supposed to be the other way around. We're supposed to bury our parents, take care of our parents, you know? So, but anyway, fight fans, bro, what you saying there, Carlos? You do. You do. Well, say no more. Say no more. Don't even say anything on this show. Maybe later we can talk about it, chop it up. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. What I'm saying to you guys, and I'm being honest about it, are some bullshit stories I heard here and there on some YouTube channels. Some things were, behind the scenes, but never confirmed to be true because the person that was saying it was saying to us, don't hold me on this. You know, I don't know anything really about the situation, how it went down, who he was with, what was it over. I don't know. That scenario that I broke down, please don't hold me to that. I was honest when I told you guys I'm just saying some bullshit that I heard. That's it. I will not stamp that story at all because I don't know it to be true. I don't.